everybody. It's Brian. It is Tuesday, and I'm back for another episode of my stream. And um, hope everybody had a good 4th of July holiday, or for the rest of the world, Friday. Uh, One second. Somebody's trying to downplay something, so just trying to set the mood straight here. Yeah, so we are, into Tuesday. It's already, late Tuesday, and I am here, thankfully. Had a fun adventure at the ER yesterday because of something's going on. I don't know what it is here, but um, yeah, when you explain it to somebody at your hospital, and they're like, "Yeah, you should go to the ER." Okay, um, you know, when uh, was not anything major so far, not any kind of cardiac event or anything like that. That's what I originally had thought it was, but it was, still there. But I've got a doctor's appointment next week for it. But I think it just goes to show you're not supposed to ignore those kinds of things. Something is weird going on. Don't um, wait until you get your fast pass to the hospital, which is the ambulance. Try to go in and uh, get it checked out ahead of time. I ended up spending about 6 hours at the emergency room, getting stuck at least 3 times here. You can see where the two the the lady who did my blood taking was actually fairly good. I've never actually had blood taken from that vein before, and I think she stuck me twice in the same spot, which is pretty awesome. And I don't have a ton of bruising, which good job, phlebotomists with 15 years of experience. I've taken blood numerous times and have had, bruise. So, um, yeah, that was that. So I've also got a nice follow-up appointment with my doctor or one of the doctors in the group that are there. Um, after you tell them, hey, after my ED visit, I should probably be seen before my yearly checkup, which is next month. And so they said, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to be um, going through, you know, going through a few medical procedures potentially in the near future. So yeah, don't neglect your health, and if something feels off, you know yourself, and you should do what you can to make that change. So yeah, let me see. So I hope everybody had a chance to listen to the discussion we had both with Jay Beal last week and with um, McDouglas on the system he's using, which is Shabti. Shabti. Let us go and double check. Let's see. Want to make sure I got it right. Uh, InfoSec innovations, GitHub. Yes, I know the screen is very, very small in the corner there. I just wanted to make so. They've been working on something called um, Concierge, which is a tool by which you can feed a bunch of documents. Hey, Cyborg. No, I just had a little bit of a health thing and ended up having to go to the emergency room for a few hours. Never actually got seen by the doctor, but that was because it was after 6 hours, and I actually was talking to the person making the appointment with me today, and they're like, "Yeah, if you're not emergent or if they don't see anything glaringly bad about the blood test that you took or what have you, um, you're gonna just sit in line with everyone else according to the triage method, like we do with vulnerabilities." Um, so, we sat there from about 2 p.m. to just before 7 p.m. And we were like, well, if I haven't keeled over dead, by now, probably isn't going to happen. Or, they don't consider me a big issue. Like they had taken the first blood draw for my blood enzymes and found out, I had actually had an MI or some kind of cardiac event. it probably would have, wheeled me in, and I'd not be here today. I'd probably be sitting with a nice cat, or, enjoying a bed, hospital bed or something, depending on, the amount of work that needed to be done. So, after the third, blood draw, uh, just sat there for a couple hours, and then it was like, let the front desk know, hey, I'm going to take off because I haven't, no change, right? And I'll just follow up with my doctor. So that's what I did. So I've got a meeting next Tuesday with my doctor. So I am going to so concierge back to McDouglas. Yeah, me too. Me too, Cyborg. Appreciate you. Um, yeah. So um, here is a sorry. Okay, so that is not the best screen to be using here for that, but I'm going to post this up. So this is a local AI that you can use to analyze documents. And we did a quick demo of it on the stream last Sunday evening, where Mick Douglas went through, who works for InfoSec Innovations. He's the one of the owners, or the owner. Uh, the idea of it being you can take documents that are important to your work, your process, your team. So let's say NIST 800-53, ISO 27002, excuse me, you know, PCI and all those things. And it's like you can put those in a repo, and then using the model that is running on the system, which is he has a fairly large one, but he said, he's trying to work on making it more smaller, more performant. It'll index those documents using chunks, kind of like you do in, when it'll scan the PDF, it'll take chunks of the code of the text and then put it into an index and inside the dictionary, or the database where it can query it using, not a chatbot format, but it's like you can ask questions and it will do a search based on those things. Future iterations of concierge, and now he calls it, I think, Shabti, which is a um, uh, like a little assistant or a little spirit or something from mythology, is going to be more of a chatbot kind of thing where it's like, hey, kind of like I'm doing with Boots on boot.dev. And the idea is to um, it works. Yeah, it's an AI system that only works with the data you feed it, right? Your data, your prompts, everything is local to your instance. You're not pushing business sensitive data up into into chat gpt or whatever. It might be a solution for people who are a little bit risk adverse about putting things up into whatever Meta has, or whatever Claude is, or Anthropic, or Copilot, if you will. If you're worried about your salespeople pushing the product roadmap for the next 12 months up in there, even though there are controls in place on the more public AIs. Um, there might be some people who are like, yeah, I don't necessarily trust that just yet. So you can run this locally. Runs with GPU enabled when you're doing search queries. Doesn't I don't think we saw it work with indexing, and which is something that will come up eventually. But it is a local and a modular RAG framework, still in alpha, right? But it worked great. I think it was pretty awesome looking, and I wish I could. One sec. Uh, there we go. Let's make this a little bit. Well, I will have to fix this eventually. But so they're working on it. He's actually changing the name from concierge to Shabti. So it's still showing up here in this GitHub repo, but um, yeah, I've been following this for a while, since like point 4, point 5. I had issues with size of documents because some of the PDFs that I was using that were not security related were in the range of 100, 200 megs, because they got pictures in them, and they got designs and things, which cause the size of the PDF to go very large. So if you are interested in creating a RAG, which is a retrieval augmented generator, you can go check this out. This is one that you can use, and the installation has gotten a lot better. He actually showed a little bit of that. It was like pretty much click, and then it's Dockerized. So you have to have Docker running on your box, but it'll, install itself basically. And so yeah, you can go check that out. And um, right, if you want to use GPU acceleration, doesn't require it, but responses are faster. You have to have NVIDIA drivers. I think he said will also work with Mac as well. So um, you can make it work that way because um, Apple Silicon is completely different. Doesn't have NVIDIA. Doesn't use AMD. I think he was using on a Ryzen 9, so that's an AMD chip, and it was still working with GPU enabled because you could we saw his admin panel and everything. So it's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to testing the new version, 17, what is yeah, 7A17. So that's the latest one as of three weeks ago. Point 8 will have some additional new features. Like I think he mentioned chatbot capabilities and other things, but you can definitely follow this and keep an eye out on this. And he also takes pull requests. So if you find a problem or have a bug or anything, you can go and talk to him about that. So yeah, chunking strategy, parallel processing. Yeah. Did I actually open up one here? I thought I had actually opened up an issue at one point, but you can go check this out and follow along. So, oh, and he's at Better Safety Net. So if you have any questions on Twitter, Safety Net, there you go. You can follow that on Twitter. Oh, and chat seems to be working again on the stream, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, all right. So I'm going to get back to my boot.dev, boot.dev, and so I've been creating an asteroids game, and one of the things that we're doing and I've done so far is I've gotten it to run in such a way that and one other thing before we get started. Our music today, of course, is coming from um, Essential Radio, uh, you know, chill out music, which um, has some really great music coming from it. So chill out music, uh, and yeah, so my bit here. There we go. All right. Uh, I'm going to pull up VS Code, which will pop up here. All right. So I will. So I'm going to run this because I need to be able to. Oh, yeah, I need to be able to see the UI. All right. So the Pygame terminal is up and running. I'm going to create a new input for this. Let me see. Capture screen. Call it Pygame. Great. All right. Window capture. And then where's Pygame? Pygame window. There we go. And click OK. So you can see the Pygame window that has popped up when I ran the script down below. And you can see where it says starting asteroids. The screen width is 1280 by 720. And starting asteroids. And this is the default setting. So what I've done is I've made it create a screen. I've made it fill the screen with black, which is the color. Um, and so, yeah, what we have here, main dot, yeah, here's the main.py. So we have the game loop, which is working. So it's running at 60 frames a second because you kind of want it to be performant, but you also have to slow it down because right now, if you didn't have this clock tick in here, it would just go at like 1,000 frames a second or however fast it would go to keep up with the CPU. Kind of like when you try to emulate certain DOS games on newer PCs, or if you're playing DOSBox and you're like, why is this running at like 500 frames a second and it's non-playable? Because there's no clock limiting mechanism, which is what this is supposed to do. It's supposed to limit the um, clock ticks to so many frames or so many, frames per second. In this case, 60. Uh, Player draws the screen, and then the game loop, while true, which is everything here. Um, and then this will also allow you to break out of the game when you're done by closing it or hitting Control C or whatever, to make sure that you're able to get out of the game without having to p kill whatever the process is. Okay, whisker words, whisker words. So yeah, so the next lesson, obviously, when we're looking at the screen, is we're going to make the we're going to move around. We're going to move our spaceship in this case. So our nice little triangle will eventually go left, right, up, or down, and believe it will rotate left or right, like the ancient asteroid game. So um, the assignment for this level, and the asteroid game is a little bit differently formatted than what previous boot.dev stuff was. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just if it runs, it's good, right? So, um, and of course, I've done all these things here, but I've made copious, discussions with Boots, of course, talking about various items. So he and I have been chatting a little bit about how all of this works. I haven't submitted this one yet because I would kind of like to get, a nice chest and get 3,000 XP for that. Um, so what I figure I'll do is I'll just keep going until it works, and then when I finish this, then I'll submit everything and reap the rewards, because I'm not really caring about leaderboards and stuff like that because I'll never, great, I'm the best dev. So I appreciate others that are doing that, and if you can get that, then good on you. All right, so so this is the last bit that we did in our game. Asteroids are visually represented as circles, so the asteroids are circles. You could, with enough code, make them so they're all nice and jaggedy, like you've seen with Atari. I think was the version that had. Oh, and you can't even see the screen that I'm talking about. So, uh, yeah, so you can kind of see it here with the. You can kind of see what it's supposed to look like. The asteroids are going to be circles, and then this is the player. I don't have a red circle around uh, my player, but that's because it's supposed to be a ship, triangle in this case. The circle is going to be like the area of detection. So I'm imagining if the asteroid touches that red circle, things get explodey, right? There may be some future lesson in here that is going to be like more collision avoidance or collision detection, that kind of thing. I almost guarantee that that's what's going to happen, because it has to, if the asteroid overlaps my ship or touches my ship or gets close enough to my ship go boom, right? Ship be done, and you exit out of the game loop, and oh, sorry, you fail. So get that back into place. There we go. And I will. All right, so I will close this again. The Pi game window will close, and it will go away until I need it again. So there we go. And yet it still shows up. That is interesting. Okay. Hmm. I definitely did close the Pi game window, so I'm not sure exactly why it keeps popping back up. But let's go ahead and do some music here. Oh. All right. So instead of you having to constantly copy paste things in, what they're going to do is they want you to paste some code like you did previously here. Like you know, you copy paste this entire method into the player class, which does exactly what you want it to do, but then they explain why that is. See, the player will look like a triangle even though we'll use a circle to represent its hitbox. Hitbox is going to be the detection area, right? So it may not be completely perfect. The hitbox is a circle, so it could be possible for the asteroid to touch one of the top angle on your ship and still survive, because unless you encroach upon the hit circle, the red circle, ship won't go boom. Okay. So, all right. So moving around a little bit wider. All right. And if you have trouble seeing the font, please let me know. I will expand the size. It will butts the window, but at this point I've already resized them several times, so it won't make much difference. All right, so assignment: create a new constant in constants.py to represent the player turn speed. I named mine player turn speed and gave it a value of 300. So go into also, you may have noticed here UV run main py. As mentioned previously, they have decided to embrace a Rust project management tool for Python, which has become very popular in many circles. So UV is the tool that they use for packaging, for installing things, for virtualization. It also creates a lock file, very much like when we learned Rust, so that you don't have to create necessarily a virtual environment every time you try to run these things. So when I run UV, it is exactly the same as running, like Python 3 run main.py, except this time it will fail because it doesn't find it. There's no Python 3. It's UV. So run UV run main whatever, and that's what comes up. So, and if you have any questions about what UV is, I will find it for you and post it up in the chat. You will have it. All right. So moving right along. Let me open up constants. Y'all can't look at that because that's that's stuff from my other thing that I do. So. All right. So as you can see, I will put in. I haven't already. I need to put in player turn speed. The previous lesson said to make sure your player radius is 20, and that would be the hitbox circle, right? So 20 pixels, 20 things, right? I can make it larger or smaller by changing the constant here. Make sure that's available. So I don't think it matters where you put it in here. I think it just has to be in here some way. So interesting. I have the asteroid kinds and asteroid minimum radius. So we have player turn speed, and then we give it 300, and that's how fast your ship will potentially turn in the radius. So assuming 300 is like degrees, it's going to be just a little bit less than a degree a second or a degree a millisecond or whatever. If you want it to turn faster, you're going to increase the value of that 300 to say, I don't know, you can make it 500, you could make it 5,000. It'd be super fast and probably unable to control it. So I think 300 is probably a good happy medium for when you turn left or right. It's going to rotate like this versus that kind of thing. You need more fine control on that. No, I didn't. All right, so I'm gonna make sure I put this back to 300 so that way it will work. All right, so I like to keep track of these, and it's nice that they have checkboxes so I know how far I've gotten in the assignment. So we're going to add a new method to the player class, which player class is right here. So the player class is this. As we saw in the last lesson, this is what draws the triangle for the game, right? And now we're going to add a new method to the player class called rotate. So we did draw, and now we're going to do rotate. So def, all right, def, rotate. And I kind of had issues with this because I wasn't exactly sure where to put rotate and the definitions for these things. I thought you needed to put it up underneath the class, so I actually, had some bits in here like this that I thought it needed to go there. So I was adding. I think I added like rotate here, and it was like, no, idiot, you don't have to do it. Well, it was nicer about it, but it said, no, you don't put it there. You're gonna have to define it yourself. Sorry, we have somebody who's out on holiday, so kind of doing light incident response or light, hey, shit's in the news, we got to respond to it. Not incident response, but it's like, so just in case, but nothing major. So. All right, so we have a new method called rotate. It's going to take one argument. So in this case, the one argument is, well, technically we have self and then dt, right? Understood. Okay. All right, so we're gonna player class. It's going to take one argument, dt. I told you we'd use it. I don't remember the person not telling me that. And then when it's called, it should add player turn speed times dt. So player turn speed obviously 300. dt is going to be some value, right? Based on. Oh, the other thing that got me is they didn't explicitly say, to do the froms and the imports and everything. So when I would try to run it from the last section, it was like, oh, I don't know if I can show the output from all of those. No, let me see. Here we go. Oh no, I was trying to run it, and it would be like, oh, it can't find this, and I would go into boots, and they'd be like, you need to add this to your, and it felt like for all of the py files that I had to call each one of them in like a circle. So main needed to call circle shape, needed to call constants, and then player needed to call circle shape and player radius from constants and pygame. So because I needed, the player radius, I might need the player turn speed in here as well. So I'm thinking I should just import all from constants if I'm going to continue have it as a something that I need. So it would make sense for constants to just import all the constants. That way I have them available in this player turn speed. All right, so self and dt. And I don't think I need to self dt equals dt. That doesn't feel right. I have found that object-oriented programming, you don't always have to, like we learned in the last chapters, like you have to declare every variable, right? Self dt or self, like right up here, self xy. So, I was doing like self.x equals x, self.y equals y, and Boots was like, yeah, you don't need to do that. I'm like, well, how do I know when to do it and when not to do it? And I actually didn't get a good answer from that, or I've forgotten why, but you don't have to do that for everything, right? So still don't understand object-oriented programming for a good majority of this stuff. So all right, so we need player turn speed times dt equals rotation. That seems about right. Oh, and if the music's too loud, please let me know as well, because I would not want to cause people not to enjoy my lovely time here. So, all right. So he said, all right, when it's called, it should add player speed to DT to the. Oh, so wait. When it's called, okay. Oh, okay. So I've pooched that. I think I pooched that a little bit. When it is called, so when rotate is called, it should add player speed times dt to the player's current. Okay, so I pooched. Let's not do that. And so we have rotation. So whatever the current rotation is. And we know that self-rotation equals 0. So that's where we're getting the rotation. Which doesn't make any sense. Rotation is not called anywhere. Let me see, where's rotation called anywhere else? Mm-hmm. I have a feeling we're going to run into some problems because I think this should be like rotate, not rotation, and this should be rotate here. I'm going to change that because I feel like we need to have self-rotate, but it would be rotation equals turn speed. Oh, no, I see. Okay, so there's really hate those pop-ups. They're kind of annoying. Rotate is self-rotation plus 90. Okay, so there's a rotate function. We need to have the rotation because that's in there, self-rotation. So rotation is plus equal player turn speed times dt. And dt, as we saw, was here, which is the clock tick speed divided by 1000. So 60 divided by 1000, or whatever the value of dt is in the game loop. And that was in main. So player's current rotation. All right, so I'm going to Control S. I'm going to save that just for shiggles. Okay, and then paste the following update method to the player class. All right, so we're going to create yet another definition. And I'm not going to lie, once I smell dinner, I'm going to be like, I'm going to go. Because my lovely wife is cooking again. Self and DT, so we're going to call self and DT again. Now things are going to get difficult because now there's question marks. And I think this is we're mapping keyboard keys, in this case A and D, which is, would be potentially left and right, and then X or S and W if you're in the old school like Doom, where you use both hands on the keyboards. You got A, S, D, and W for your upright, left, and down, or backwards in this case. If you're Doom, you might use Control to shoot if that was a thing, and we probably will have a shoot function. Obviously, it's not asteroids if you can't shoot them. Or if you're extra old school, you would use a mouse or a trackball or something for that. So. All right. And so we need to have keys pygame.key get pressed, and that's a method, right? Or that's a function, right? Functions, and then if keys. So pygame, I imagine, has events that when you do something on a key, so in your normal, 100 keyboard, 104 keys or 155 keys, or goodness, Mama Kitty's sitting on my keyboard again. When you press that button, something's going to happen. And right now they've mapped two of those to A and D. So we will do that. If keys equal pygame K, capital K being keyboard, I guess. I'm assuming they have ways to map your mouse keys if it knows what type of mouse you have. I would imagine there's some event for that, depending on how many can be mapped to it. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 technically, if you count the mouse wheel button, which is a key. And then something's gonna happen when I press that key. Otherwise, if keys pygame K D, and then something's going to happen. So it says if you're using a non-QWERTY keyboard like AZERTY, which is I think I saw one in France. So instead of QW, A and Z are at the top in the upper right hand corner. I think there's I want to say QZ. Forget, but there's a number of different. Dvorak is another one, which is another keyboard type. So I think what they're wanting you to do, you want to change the key bindings to something other than the W, A, S, and D, because an AZERTY keyboard, it'll be like Z and S instead of A and S, or it'll be AZERTY, so AZ, so it'll be not A and D, it'll be, I don't know what is where A is. Oh, AZERTY keyboard layout. Okay, so the Q is actually on the pinky finger. So instead of A and D, it would be a Q and D, and then Z and S would be those. W is actually in the bottom left-hand corner, where the Z is. That's interesting. Okay. Oh, you can see that too. So, so it would be Z, S, Q, and D instead of Q, S, A, and D. Yeah, so there's other ones as well, but the idea is you want these four here, these four keys, and then if you're extra limber and under the age of 20, they actually have the greater than, less than down here. And they have like the grave mark, I think, on one of these, which you only need for like one word in French. I think that's what I saw, like the grave mark. But even I don't know if this is typical of most AZERTY keyboards. Ours is these two are where you see the square bracket and the curly brackets open and close up here on top next to the P. But other than that, everything else is mostly the same. Oh no, N. So M is completely moved too. That's interesting. J, K, L, and M. So where our semicolon and colon are is the M key for the AZERTY. Interesting. They've also moved some. Looks like tildes. The E with a grave mark, or the little thing there. Okay. I remember hunting and pecking on an AZERTY keyboard when we were trying to print boarding pass something a long time ago. So apologies, I'm ignorant U.S. American. So, but yeah, all right. So if you're a non-QWERTY key, update the missing lines to call the rotate method with the DT argument. To go left instead of right when A is pressed, you'll need to reverse DT. How do you do that? how would one reverse dt? Book the, okay, so question about needing to reverse the dt variable. Well, wait, before I ask that question, let me think critically here, or think critically about myself. Okay. So it almost, so let me see. Let me go look at main here. So dt is clock tick 60 divided by 100. It almost feels like, so the opposite of division would be multiplication. So you want to multiply it by 60? I don't know if that's true. All right, so let me ask a question. With dt equal to clock tick 60 divided by 100, reversing would seem to suggest you want to multiply clock tick 60 by 1000. That's the opposite of division, right? Would be multiplication, like the opposite of addition is subtraction, and vice versa. Am I off thinking like that? And of course, I will burn a salmon. Boot says, I see the confusion. Not about reversing in the mathematical sense. Oh, okay, but in this context, reverse means something much simpler. And the lesson says reverse dt for left rotation. It's not asking you to reverse the calculation that created the method. Instead, it's asking you to make the rotation go in the opposite. Yeah. Okay, so, okay, you want negative rotation versus positive rotation. Okay, so in this case, rotation right now is, all right, so I may be wrong here on the plus equaling. Right, what simple mathematical operation could you apply to dt to make it negative instead of positive? The dt value itself, which represents the time delta, right? Oh, yeah, time delta time, and it should remain the same. You just need to change its sign for one of the directions. Okay. Well, thank you for the clarification. Let's make sure we have rotate definition defined correctly. Oh, okay, and that's true. I did not put the. Nope, I need to put that there, not. Here. Oh. So yeah, using rotation as if the local variable you want to modify the player's rotation attribute. How would you access an attribute that belongs to the current object? So self-rotate would be like self.rotation. Oh, not rotation? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Really hate those pop-ups. Really hate those pop-ups. Really don't like those pop-ups. You don't do anything for me. Way to get rid of those. Let's see if that makes any difference. Yeah, that got rid of them. Okay. I don't like a debugger running with my shit. So. All right. If this rotate method is part of the player class, the player has a rotation attribute. How would you reference that from the? Okay, so I need to do a super. Super. And then rotate. I hope that that's correct. Let's reference an attribute from within the method. Think about how you have access to other attributes of the player object in previous lessons, right? Okay. Right. So you're overthinking this. The rotate method is part of the player class. You want to modify the player's rotation attribute here. Self.rotation. What keyword do you use to refer to this player object? Okay, so is it really self.rotation? Oh, okay. There you go. See, I told you I still don't understand object-oriented programming. Because there's no rotation in here, so I felt like I should have to do that. Okay, the correct function definition with a colon, done. Self.rotation to access the player's rotation attribute, done. Plus equals operator to add to the current rotation value, done. Calculation is player speed to turn. Okay, so what would your complete rotate method look like with all these pieces combined? All right, so all right, so yeah, we're good. All right, so got that right now. I'd actually thought about putting self in there because I was like, well, but there was no rotation value, so did not see that as a viable bit. But okay, so remember, one direction should rotate positively, the other one should rotate. Great. Okay, so in this case, okay, so I like it says, I don't think it matters in which order I do this in. So one is going to be one way will evaluate as it'll be like negative equals versus positive equals. That's my thought. Anyway, let's go see. So going to and then all right. Oh, I was doing that. But so one is going to be positive, one's going to be negative. Feels like that's what I need to do. Because we're not worried about forward or backward yet. I'm just trying to make it so that the circle spins or the triangle spins. In this case, around an axis. All right. So I'm putting the three. You've directly modified self-rotate in the update method, but the lesson is asking you to use the rotate method you just created. Okay. The idea is to keep your code organized by having a rotate method handle all rotation logic and then call the method from update. So instead of modifying self.rotation in the update method, you should call rotate dt for one direction. Okay, so okay. Rotate dt and then what, like negative dt? Like a negative dt? Think about it. If rotate does that, you want it to subtract instead. What value would you pass instead of dt? Not negative. Oh. Well, it is just that easy. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. I guess so. So the A in this case is negative dt and the KD is positive dt. When D is pressed, you pass dt normally. So the rotation increases. When A is pressed, you press negative dt, so the rotation decreases counterclockwise. Actually, let me see. I'm thinking counterclockwise. I would, and to Boots' point, it doesn't matter which one gets the negative and which one gets the positive. You just want one of them to have a negative. And my thought was, since A is counterclockwise for me, I do want it to be negative, because the idea would be counterclockwise would be backwards, which would be negative. Logically, that's how it feels for me. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna leave that as negative. All right. So now you just need to hook this update method into your game loop by calling it on the player object each frame before rendering. Where in your main game loop would you add that call? All right. So scroll back up to the top. Hook the update method, which is this one here, to your main game loop, and this is the game loop right here, starting as so it starts with while true, and this is all right here. So I think that was the big thing during the last lesson. It was like, where in your game loop do you want it? Do you want it up here before the game loop as part of setting those things, or do you want it down inside the game loop so that it is working? And with DT being here, I'm thinking you also want it to be like right here. The update method into the game loop by calling it on the player object each frame before rendering. So each frame, so we do want it inside the game loop. Hook the update method into the game loop. All right. So we want player update. All right. And I'll just ask it the question. From the player object each frame before rendering, where in the main game loop would you add that call? I did it in the game loop because it would be an event that would need to occur during the loop. And I want to imagine it doesn't matter exactly where you're going to put it. It's just that it sits in between the while true looping bit. Okay, yeah, there you go. Oh, wait. However, I noticed a small issue. You're calling player update but not passing the DT parameter. Looking at your updated. Okay, so I need to. That makes sense. Oh, okay. Well, let me go see what this was doing. We're gonna update. Keys? Update keys? I want to player update keys because it's how the rotation is. In this case, it's how the is updated by the player using key. Yeah. Oh. Method of specs parameter called d. Oh, okay. Inside the method, you're already getting the keys with get key press. So see the time delta. Okay. Well, it wouldn't be DT. Maybe it would be DT. Self.dt? Wait a minute. It should be a comma, not a period. It shouldn't be a period, it should be a comma. That would fail, and I would get an error message and I'd be very sad. Okay. Method expects a parameter called d. Okay, fine. Let's put the dt in there. There. Update dt seems odd to use. Okay, think about what DT represents. It's the time that has passed since the last frame. This is crucial for smooth movement and fair rotation. Without DT, the rotation speed would depend on frame rate. Right, our fast computer would rotate super quickly. In fact, that's why we So, but with DT, the rotation is time-based rather than frame-based. Look at the method. Rotation plus equals player turn speed times DT. Player turn speed is something like 300 degrees per second. Okay, so it's going to take roughly 1 and a little more seconds to go around 360 degrees. So it'll be 1.2 seconds to do a full rotation. That doesn't seem very fast. Okay. When you multiply by DT, does this explain why DT is the right approach? Okay, so I had it correct. I just thought maybe it went somewhere different. Seemed odd. When you're calling the original DT value 3 lines above. Right. Think of it like this: game loop is conductor keeping time, tells all the musicians what the current tempo is. You'll see this pattern everywhere in game development. Oh, okay. Player update, enemy update, bullet update. Okay. Might seem redundant, but as your game grows and you have more objects that need updating, you'll appreciate having the time calculation in one place and passing it to everything it needs. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so now we've done all that, and it says you should be able to press A to rotate left and D to rotate right. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. I'm going to save that. I want to save that. Save that. Save that. Save that. And I'll go over here. And so main and player. I don't know why. There. Okay, constants is now in there. So main, player, and constants. All right. Updated to allow key press to move player in a circle rotation. All right, so now we will commit and push. Okay, so now I will run main py. Wait a sec. Oh, whoops. Made that mistake. I shouldn't have put in UV there. UV run. Oh, okay. What I miss? Oh, yeah. It tried to tell me there's a little squirrely bit right there. So, okay. See, now I understand why developers put bug fixes. And you're like, what did they fix? Well, bug fixes. That's what it fixed. Commit and push. Okay. Oh, what the hell? What? Okay, so there's definitely a problem. All right, so I'm going to add this question. Error I received when attempted to run Python files. All right, so see there's a problem with your init method. Error is saying that when you try to create a player with player XY, it's expecting a third argument called rotate. I didn't have any problems. Obviously, you saw me run this thing before. So it suggests somewhere in your player init method. Okay, so player init method, right? The extra rotate parameter should not be there. What does your init method look like? Copy. I haven't changed the init method up here, so I'm not exactly sure why it's. I don't think I remember adding that, but I will go ahead and remove that if it wants me to. All right, I have the rotate method down here, right? From the init parameters, make sure can you remove rotate from the init parameters, make sure your rotate method is defined separately. I did that. All right. What? Calling rotate DT, but rotate is the method that belongs to the current player object. How do you? Okay, did it not tell me that everything was fine when I did this up here? Okay. So I need to modify self.rotate. Self.rotate. Okay. All right. Honestly, I don't know how anything got done before we had AIs, right? Okay, so now it suggests that this should work. All right, so I will say more bugs, more bug fixes. That's hilarious. I guess I should never complain when it just says bug fixes and security improvements. It sucks, but I guess that's what it is. Haha. Okay, so does everybody see the screen? Oh, there we go. So there's the Pygame. Now I'm gonna hit A. Oh, look at that. Oh. Okay, so you can't see that, but it is rotating. That's really weird. Why you can't see that? Properties. Okay, so now you should be able to see it. I don't know why I had to reinitialize. There we go. So that's me hitting D, D going this way, and this way, and this way, and this way. Now A and S, which should be the next lesson, will be I'm going to move my critters. So I'm going to go this way, and then I will hit X or W or S to go forward or backward. Okay, so can you guess the triangle is rotating smoothly when you hold down the key. It's actually fairly responsive in this case too. So. Now, obviously, my old ass fingers, I'd want to maybe slow it down, but that would require me to dodge out of the way of more asteroids or, do some fancy stuff to slow my ship down so that I can, get there and do stuff. Younger people would want to set this to 400 or 500 to make it spin faster. In that case, I think I actually saw a mobile app that was very similar to this, but it was like a tower defense thing where your tower sits in the middle and it just shoots asteroids as it's coming in. And I was like, wow, somebody's making money off of that. This would be very similar to what I'm doing, except you can upgrade your tower, you can add more things to it, but this is it'd be very similar where you could get upgrades to your ship, or so you wouldn't have to move or be faster or slower, and that would change the constants, right? I want it to move faster. or rotate faster because I've got better thrusters or whatever it is, I would just change the player constant whenever somebody bought the upgrade to, oh, you're now gonna have a thruster of 500 instead of 300, so you can rotate faster and shoot more things faster. Or accelerate or decelerate would be, you accelerate even faster with better engine. All right, well, so that works. Yes. Boink. All right, so let's. So I'm not gonna push that out just yet because as we can see, the difficulty is 4, which means I'm gonna get like 96 XP to push that out. So, all right, so now instead of rotating, we need the ship to move back and forth with the W and S keys, or for the Azerty folks, it's going to be Z and S in this case. Create a new constant in constants.py to represent player speed. All right, so I'm going to hide that. There we go. Close that. There we go. I'm going to have to re-establish that later, but that's all right. Now I go back to my constants.py, and I'm going to set player speed and give it a value of 200. And so it's kind of a jip, isn't it? In those games like asteroids or whatever, if I want, I'm going to spend $5 to get better engines or better thrusters to be able to turn or, move faster. All they're doing is going in here and changing your existing player speed or radius to something a little faster, right? So player speed equals 200. All right. It'll be interesting to see or how they're going to show us, that our ship moves, right? Because the field is black. So unless the ship is just going to veer off the side of the screen, that'll be the only way we'll be able to tell that is the thing. All right, so I've done that. Lock that up. All right. Add a new method to the player class called .move. Okay. .move takes one argument, dt, very similar to this here. So, but we need a def, right? So we're going to add a new method. We want to modify the player's position. First, we need to do a little math. Oh my shit. First, we start with a unit vector pointing straight up. Am I even streaming? Well, there's a commercial break now, but okay. So I'm still streaming on YouTube at least, and I'm streaming on Twitch. Okay. Just my timer on my app is showing only 15 minutes of actual time, so weird. All right. I actually kind of need to go. I'm smelling food, and I told my wife I'd only been on until 1:45. So I'm going to continue on with this. I'll probably get through this tonight, and I'll kind of show you what I did next time we meet. But yeah, that wasn't as painful as I thought it would be, and yeah. So I'm gonna go because I can smell dinner too. That's the other thing. And I'm very hungry. I've started back on keto and intermittent fasting, so I'm trying to get down to 200 pounds and get all svelte for Hacker Summer Camp because I can't go looking. Speedo weather's coming, and I can't be looking like shite at DEF CON. My Speedo. So I'm just kidding. Nobody wants to see that. I'm 8 pounds away as of like Sunday, so got 8 more pounds to get to 200, and then I can get an apple fritter. So a lot of things going on with me, trying to improve my health, but also trying not to die from whatever this is going on here. But yeah, take care of yourselves, and I will see you Thursday probably because Friday I have to go pick up my daughter for summer camp from summer camp. But yeah, y'all take care. Go listen to Jay Beal and McDouglas on our YouTube channel if you can, because they did a lot of good, spending their time talking to me about Kubernetes, the CTF, and AI stuff. So doing some great work. Anyway, hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Take care and be kind to one another. All right. Y'all have a good one. Bye.